Hello and welcome to the WildOnes Bookclub. So, as you might already know, the book that I picked to read in this vlog was voted by you, and that one is Funny Story by Emily Henry. But I thought that just talking about the one book might not be long enough for a video, so I am doing two books for my WildOnes Book Club. So one of them is voted by you. The second one, though, I am going to do just based on its cover. So we'll go to a bookstore. I'm going to try independent ones first. And whatever book speaks to me based on the cover alone, so no Goodreads lookups, no reading the blurb, just vibes from the cover, I will buy it, and that will be the second book. So we'll have one that is voted by you, and then one that I choose purely based on its cover. So I will go out later today to buy that one. But I will start by reading Funny Story by Emily Henry. So basically in this one, you've got two people who have been left by both of their partners. Both their partners were childhood friends who always said, oh, you don't have to worry about her. Oh, you don't have to worry about him. But they did. They should have worried, because on the dude's bachelor night, him and his childhood best female friend decided they were in love with each other, and they dumped their partners. And basically the girl, whose name is Daphne, is left without a home. So she decides to contact the guy that was dumped by his girlfriend and say like, hey, do you need a roommate? I know that your partner just left you because our partners are now together. So they move in together. And I think basically they do a fake dating scenario to try and make their exes jealous. So that's all I know of the premise so far. I know that the dude wears Crocs because that's on the cover. My ex-boyfriend is a Crocs fan. I am not. I prefer Birkenstocks, like the Jesus sandal. So that was one way we were not aligned. Yes. But we'll see how this goes. I will touch base with you while I read it so you can get some of my up-to-date reactions. But I'm going to head out to a cafe and a bookstore to get the second book club pick, and I'll touch base with you soon. Okay, so I am back. The bookstore that I went to was called The Escape Hatch, and there were quite a few books, I'll put them up here, that caught my eye. So there was more than one. I obviously ended up picking one. There weren't a lot of genre postings, so I don't even know what genre this is, but I have a fiction. I have a feeling that it's fiction. We shall see. So you ready to see which one I picked? I picked The Mother Fault. So this is a rose petal cover, and you've got spot gloss on the book as well. It is by Kate Mildenhall. It says on the front, so it was so difficult to pick books. I was just poring over the front of the books. Were there any snippets? Like this one says, imagines a world as terrifying and visionary as Margaret Atwood's Gilead. And just trying to get as much information as I could. It was so tempting to turn around, but I did not turn it around. I don't know what this is about. I don't know what it's rated on Goodreads. So this is a shot in the dark, but let's both find out together. I'm going to read the blurb. Let's see what this book is about. You will not recognize me, she thinks, when I find you. Mim's husband is missing. No one knows where Ben is, but everyone wants to find him, especially the department. And they should know. The all-seeing government body has fitted the entire population with a universal tracking chip to keep them safe. But suddenly, Ben can't be tracked, and Mim is questioned, made to surrender her passport, and threatened with the unthinkable, her two children being taken into the care of notorious Best Life. Cornered, Mim risks everything to go on the run to find her husband, and a part of herself, long gone, that is brave enough to tackle the journey ahead. From the stark backroads of the Australian outback to a terrifying sea voyage, Mim is forced to shuck off who she was, mother, daughter, wife, sister, and to become the woman she needs to be to save her family and herself. Okay, so it's sounding like a dystopian. Oh, look, there's end pages. Oh, that's so pretty. I didn't even know. Is it same on the back? Probably. Oh, different on the back just a bit. So it's the picture on the front. Interesting. I thought it was litfic, but looks like I was wrong. So let's look it up on Goodreads and see what it's got. Is it something I would have picked based on the blurb? Probably not. I would reference the Goodreads. It would be enough for me to look it up on Goodreads, but not enough for me to just go, I'll grab it immediately. The Mother Fault. Okay, so it's got a 3.44 rating on Goodreads. That's not great. That's not great. There's been over 3,000 ratings. So no one I know has read it, and they put it as fiction, dystopia, sci-fi, thriller, speculative fiction, women's mystery. Look, I do love speculative fiction. I like dystopian books. I like sci-fi. I like litfic and women's fiction, and it's set in Australia, obviously, Australian author. So we'll see. This is a bit of a dark horse, but what does it look like on the side? So that's the spine. I love the colors, bro. So this caught me because of the mix of colors and the spot gloss. And as soon as I picked it up and felt the rose petal cover, I was like, all right, I'm gonna grab this one. There's a sensory experience as well. So this looks like it's little pieces of, I can see the outback up the top, and it looks like flowers and fabric, t-shirt maybe. So we shall see, guys. I have read, before I go on to telling you how much I've read of Funny Story, I scratched myself and now I'm red. I will show you what I grabbed at the library, because I did go to the library and do a library haul. So we've got The Alternatives, which I saw in the bookstore as well. Once again, anything that's new and shiny at the library, I just grab it. I don't even read what's on the back. I'm just like, if I don't like it, I'll return it. The Fates, so that looks like the Morai from Greek mythology. Yes, and they're talking about Nyx. I love the goddess Nyx of the night. We have It Lasts Forever and Then It's Over. Supposedly this is a winner of the Novel Prize. I don't know what that means. We have Late Hybrids by Nikos Athanasou. I don't know how to pronounce it, even though I am Greek. And this is about a poetry book, I think, about, it's 20 short stories about second and third generations of Greek Australians. I don't think it's my cup of tea, but I thought I'd try it out. And the last book I grabbed is for a future vlog, and that is Bloom by Delilah S. Dawson, but this is for one that's upcoming. Have a guess if you think what kind of themed vlog that one will be. Okay, but funny story. So, funny story. I have read 50 pages of it. It's currently feeling like a 4-star book, so I'm not in love, because a lot of people I've seen have mentioned that the main character, Miles, feels a lot like, oh my God, I've just noticed a pillow covered in Doritos chips. Thanks, Indy. Thanks, babes. Is a lot like Nick from, oh my God, what's it called? Something Girl. Why can't I remember the name of this show? I don't love this show, but I've watched it. Schmidt was my favorite character. New Girl. It came to me eventually. New Girl. I don't like Nick. Never did. I couldn't stand his character. So look, I'm not loving it. He's a weed smoker, which I can't stand the smell of weed. So already, like, he's not going to be a book boyfriend. It's very clear he's not. He's very messy and slovenly. Ugh. I know this is messy and slovenly, but that's because my kids are just constantly in it, and I couldn't be bothered fixing it just for them to mess it up again. But I am normally a bit of a neat freak. So look, I'm not loving characterization of him personally. I do like Daphne. She's a librarian, so close to my heart. She wants to be a children's librarian, and that was my favorite sort of niche specialty. I loved doing all of the book displays for the kids. That was just so much fun, because I also love reading aloud to children. I've got 2 young kids still, so I'm still very much steeped in children's lit at the moment. So I love that. Obviously, it just gets straight into it, which is great. Thank God. I was hoping it would do that. It just goes boom into the bachelor party. Oh, we're a couple now. You've got a week to move out. Harsh, very harsh. And she's already, with Miles, and they've already had a bit of a moment after a night out. So basically what happened is their exes have invited them both to their wedding, because supposedly their exes have a pathological need to be liked by everyone. So they've invited them to their wedding, and Miles and Daphne thought, you know what? let's go. So they RSVP'd yes. And the next day, Daphne's ex-fiance called her and was like, are you sure you want to go by yourself? And she's like, I'm not going alone. I'm going with Miles. And he didn't like that. He didn't like that. So they're really trying to stick it to their exes and make them uncomfortable and awkward. And I'm like, why not? Because also it's only been 6 weeks since her douche ex-fiance broke up with her, you know, the night before their wedding. So they moved on very quickly and very unlikable. So I'm all for them being wedding crashers pretty much. They were invited. I mean, it's not even like they're crashing. They were invited, but make it awkward as fuck. Like they owe them nothing. So I am enjoying it. And I will continue on reading and let you know how it goes. Okay, I am 100 pages in. I love her librarian friend, Ashley. She's amazing. She makes me laugh. Absolutely adore her. By far my favorite character now. So pretty much Miles is wanting her to fall in love with a place. She moved to this town because of her ex-fiance Peter, but she's never even seen it. Peter didn't take her out anywhere. So Miles is like taking her to all of his favorite places. So it's very sweet. He's very sweet. He's very thoughtful, which is lovely. And what's happened is they're currently at a lavender farm, and Peter, her ex-fiance, has just rocked up. So there's going to be the first meeting in person since they said that they were a couple and have been posting cute pictures of Instagram together. So I am enjoying it. It's quite funny. And it feels very lighthearted and easy breezy. So I'm speeding through it. I'm at 100 pages now. And I'll touch base with you after the next 50. Okay, so I am 200 pages in now. And we've been introduced to Miles' sister, Julia, who's currently crashing with them, and she's lovely. Her and Ashley, Miles, and Daphne are sort of making up a little foursome, which is adorbs. They have once again bumped into their former exes and put on a bit of a show, after which Daphne admitted that she was sort of, it meant more to her than just a performance. There were feelings getting involved. So they're still sort of flirting around. There's been some boob sucking, I guess, some fingering to orgasm going on. He hasn't come yet, so it is spicy. Like this. It's nice though. It's nice, even though they're not together. Obviously they're going to be together. They're currently unpacking some family traumas. I love all of the parts about her job as a children's librarian. It brings me back, and it's nice to remember what it was like being a librarian. So I do adore that, and her love of books, and I'm enjoying it. I am having a nice time. So I'd say it's probably giving 4.5 stars now. So I think I've got another 150 pages to go. It's currently 1:30. I'll be reading a bit more, and then I do have to stop and eat lunch and then pick up my kids from school, but I will definitely finish it today. Okay, hi Nova. So cute. I just finished it. I'm giving it 4.5 stars. It's cute and sweet. Funnily enough, the sex scene was not very descriptive at all and over very, very quickly. So the scenes before that were much juicier than the actual culmination of it all. But still decent. I liked it. The third act conflict was okay. Once again, a lot of the miscommunication, and that sucks. I hate it. But there has to be a reason, right, for them to separate and then get back together. I love the friendships that she forms in this. I love her relationship with her mum. It's beautiful and lovely. I love that she finally stands up to her dad and actually says how she's feeling, rather than just protecting his feelings instead of saying her own. So that was wonderful. And her whole thing about, her falling in love with the town, but also wanting to make sure that she creates a life for herself there, rather than doing that whole codependent thing of becoming a we, rather than remaining an I. So that was good. So yeah, it's 4.5. It's not my favorite Emily Henry. I think Book Lovers is my favorite, followed by Beach Reads. So this would be my third favorite. out of all of her books. But yeah, 4.5 stars. So it was a fun, quick read. And now I'll be starting The Mother Fault. I'll let you know how that goes. Okay, so I just read the first chapter of The Mother Fault, and basically this is like a big brother government and everyone is microchipped and there seems to be social currency and everything is very much policed. So it's that kind of world. I think, you know, V for Vendetta, 1984, that kind of shtick. And her husband's missing. And even though he's chipped, they say they don't know where he is. So far, it's not bad. The font is actually really big in this. So even though it's 300 and something pages, probably won't take me super long to finish. Good morning. So I have finished The Mother Fault. Okay, let's talk about the rest of the plot. So basically, Mim's husband is missing in Indonesia. The department has just confiscated her and her children's passports, and she feels like this is not good news. So she decides to try to find her husband. First step on the way is to removing their implants. So she goes to her friend, I think who's some kind of vet or a surgeon, and that friend removes the implants from her and her children's hands. She then goes to find a childhood sweetheart that she knows has a boat. So when she goes to find him, she finds out that her friend who removed the implants is in a coma with burns to 80% of her body because her house was on fire. And she knows that that was not an accident, that the department has made a statement to her. So she is pretty much desperate to get out of the country before they find her. The whole country is like a surveillance state. So her friend, who isn't chipped, somehow has managed to evade getting chipped, lets her and her kids onto his boat, and they start to sail to Indonesia. And while they're sailing there, she ends up having sex with him, and it is so out of left field. There is like no build-up or tension or anything. I find the language in this is very bogan. It's very rough. There is a lot of cursing. I didn't like the dialogue, and this is a dialogue-heavy book. I didn't particularly like the writing style of this either. Basically, so she's having sex with this guy on the boat, with her kids on the boat too. He ends up mangling his foot, so that was quite a graphic description of his bones and blood and all that sort of thing, which was really disgusting. Anyway, they do end up getting to Indonesia. He has a passport, and because he's injured, they go straight to the hospital. And the way it works is that they're fine, they're in Indonesia, he's in the hospital, he says goodbye to her and gives her his boat. Like, okay. And then basically, literally, like the last 15 pages, everything goes down. Everything goes down. So it's a very slow-paced book. It's a big book and it's slow. In the last 15 pages, a reporter finds her, says that her husband is in Indonesia. He's a whistleblower. The mining company he's working for is actually doing all these other things, is in there. They're storing nuclear waste in the ground in Indonesia, even though Indonesia's on like tectonic plates. And he was going to blow the whistle, and his way of doing that was to sort of blow up some of the mine. But unfortunately, 3 people were killed when he did that. So he's racked with guilt. But they do reunite, and he tells her that he's going to be taken to Europe to be kept safe. And when everything blows down, he'll get her and the kids. And she just goes off. She's furious. He's put all of their lives in danger. What are they going to do with no money, nowhere to go while they're in Indonesia? Basically, they're having a massive domestic. And then out of nowhere, a tsunami warning blows. And in the mayhem, she loses both of her kids. I'm just like, really, woman? You didn't grab both of their hands for dear life? But anyway, both of her kids are missing. And then it turns out the tsunami warning was a fake out, and that her kids have been taken. And they rock up in a van, and the people in the van are like, give us the husband or we'll kill the children. And once the husband comes with us, you are not to say anything or we will kill you and the children. So they're trying to get the kids out. The kids are taken out of the van. They shoot the husband. And then it ends with her and her kids on the boat. Yeah, I didn't like it. I've given it 2 stars. I'm sorry, but it's just, what is this? I don't understand. Is it a thriller? It's speculative fiction, I guess, because of the country and the totalitarian Big Brother government and the microchipping and social credit score and everything. Oh, the company also froze all of their bank accounts, so she had no money. I don't know, but then she spends half the book on a boat to Indonesia, banging her childhood friend, and then she's in Indonesia for all of like 20 pages. It's just, oh, I don't think it's executed very well. And like I said, because I didn't like any of the characters and I didn't like the language that was being used, I just didn't warm to it whatsoever. I'm giving it 2 stars because I didn't hate it, but it wasn't enjoyable for me. So this was a bit of a fail, and this was $33. But what can you do? It's fine. That's the price of a lunch for me, so I can cop it. But yeah, this judge the book by its cover was not fortuitous. I asked my kids, what do you think this is about? And they said they had no idea. This cover gave them absolutely no clues as to what it's about, and they didn't like it. They didn't like this cover, so there weren't many options though at this. It was a very tiny bookstore. It's mostly a children's bookshop. So they have a huge array of children's books, absolutely amazing selection. And then they've just got one bookshelf of adult books. So there wasn't a lot to choose from. Most of those are nonfiction. So half of the adult books that I have in the shop were nonfiction. I didn't want to buy nonfiction, although there was that sensory one that looked cool and I might check that out. But yes, to cap it up, this was a 2-star, and Funny Story was 4.5 stars. And now I'm going to give you the options for voting for next month's book club. Apologies for the last video, guys. Oh, I think the glasses are gonna glare too much, so I will remove them. So let's take a look at your options for next month's book club. I'm going to try and include a different range of genres for you to pick from. So the first one is called When Among Crows by Veronica Roth. So this is an urban fantasy with sci-fi and dystopian elements. Let's read the blurb. Step into a city where monsters feast on human emotions. Knights split their souls to make their weapons, and witches always take more than they give. To slay the monsters he's been raised to kill, he had to split his soul in half to make a sword from his own spine. Every time he draws it, he gets blood on his hands. Pain is Allah's inheritance. When her mother died, a family curse to witness horrors committed by the Holy Order was passed on to her. The curse will claim her life, as it did her mother's, unless she can find a cure. One fateful night in Chicago, Demeter comes to Allah with a bargain, her help in finding the legendary witch Baba Yaga in exchange for an enchanted flower that just might cure her. Desperate and unaware of what Demeter really is, Allah agrees. But they only have one day before the flower dies, and Allah's hopes of breaking the curse with it. So that is When Among Crows, that's the first option. And then we have Perfume and Pain by Anna Dawn, which is a queer litfic romance. A controversial Los Angeles author attempts to revive her career and finally find true love in this hilarious nod to 1950s lesbian pulp fiction. Having recently moved both herself and her formidable perfume bottle collection into a tiny bungalow in LA, mid-list author Astrid Dahl finds herself back in the Zoom writers group she co-founded, Sapphic Scribes, after an incident that leaves her and her career lightly cancelled. But she forgets that by throwing herself into a few sexy distractions, like Ivy, a grad student who smells like metallic orchids and is researching 1950s lesbian pulp, or her new neighbour, Penelope, who smells like patchouli. Unapologetically feminine yet ribald, steamy yet hilarious, Anna Dawn has created an exquisite homage to the lesbian pulp of yore, reclaiming it for our internet and celebrity-obsessed world. So that is Perfume and Pain. Next we have My Darling Dreadful Thing by Johanna van Veen. This is a gothic queer horror. In a world where the dead can wake and walk among us, what is truly real? Ruse Beckham has a spirit companion only she can see. Ruth, strange, corpse-like, and dead for centuries, is the only good thing in Rue's life, which is filled with sordid backroom seances organised by her mother. That is until wealthy young widow Agnes Knoop attends one of these seances and asks Ruse to come live with her at the crumbling estate she inherited upon the death of her husband. The manner is unsettling, but the attraction between Ruse and Agnes is palpable. Dr. Montague, a psychologist tasked with finding out whether Ruse can see. Ruse knows spirits are real. She's loved one of them. She'll have to prove her innocence and her sanity or lose everything. And the final option is The Ministry of Time by Kay-Leanne Bradley. And this is a sci-fi, historical, speculative fiction with romance and time travel. A time travel romance, a speculative spy thriller, a workplace comedy, and an ingeniously constructed exploration of the nature of truth and power and the potential for love to change it. In the near future, a civil servant is offered the salary of her dreams and is shortly afterward told what project she'll be working on. She's tasked with working as a bridge, living with, assisting, and monitoring the expat known as 1847 or Commander Graham Gore. As far as history is concerned, Commander Gore died on Sir John Franklin's doomed 1845 expedition in the Arctic, so he's a little disoriented to be living with an unmarried woman who regularly shows her calves, surrounded by outlandish concepts such as washing machine, Spotify, and the collapse of the British Empire. An exquisitely original and feverishly fun fusion of genres and ideas, the Ministry of Time asks the universal, what happens if you put a disaffected millennial and a Victorian polar explorer in a house together? So that is the Ministry of Time. Those are the options for next month's book club, so feel free to vote in the poll for which one you'd like to see me do. Until next time, stay wild, star child.